Slippery, wet, and now turning colder. I'll tell you where the slickest spots still are across central Illinois and what to expect out of the Arctic blast coming next week.
GOP response. An Illinois congressman had the honor of delivering the first Republican address of the year. What Republicans plan to pass on Capitol Hill in 2015. Possible drug rebound in central Illinois. Local authorities have new concerns over heroin, how they're addressing them in the new year. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Our top story at 6, the weather. Rain, snow, and ice coming down all throughout central Illinois today. Storm Team meteorologist Thomas Patrick joins us in the Weather Center in the next few hours.
Well, it's all starting to end. I know, Lindsay, you said you were in Peoria a little bit earlier today, and that's where the slickest spots were. Some ice falling just to the north of the Peoria area, but we really dodged the bullet here. In fact, here's our current satellite and radar. The past 6 hours, things starting to diminish across the area, and it was all falling as rain today. But this whole system is massive, almost half the entire United States. Snow still falling in portions of Michigan, Ontario, Quebec, portions of the Northeast, and then to the south, severe storms, tornadoes in Mississippi and Alabama right now. You look further to the west, even more snow in portions of Nebraska and Kansas. All of this basically missing us. We just got a little freezing rain overnight, not accumulating too much, and then just rain throughout the day. So our rain totals came out to about a ½ inch overall across central Illinois, and all the roads not too bad this afternoon, but heading through the rest of the week, things getting a lot colder, and it starts tomorrow. Temperatures start in the 30s and fall to the teens. But how cold can things get? I'll let you know my full Storm Team forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Thomas, thank you. An incredible survival story. A young Illinois girl is alive tonight after a plane crash killed her entire family. Investigators now trying to figure out what went wrong as the plane plummeted into the Kentucky woods, leaving 7-year-old Sailor Gutzler alone and struggling to escape. ABC's Gloria Riviera reports.
It all started with a knock at Larry Wilkins' front door.
Opened the door and a little girl about 7 years old, bloody, and she told me that her parents were dead and that she'd been in a plane crash.
The disoriented 7-year-old, the sole survivor of a crash that killed her entire family.
7-year-old has just come out of the woods alone, scratched up. I think she was involved in a plane crash.
The FAA confirms that late Friday evening, air traffic control just outside Memphis lost contact with a plane traveling from Key West to Illinois. The pilot had sent a distress call reporting one of the plane's engines had failed. Minutes later, the Piper PA-34 Seneca crashed into a remote wooded area near Cuttawa, Kentucky.
Losing an engine in a heavily loaded airplane, that's a very, very tough situation for any pilot.
Little Sailor somehow survived, trekking barefoot through this rough, wet terrain alone.
I'm going to need EMS down here. This little girl, she's getting cut all over her.
You know, this is what we call the fight or flight response, that adrenaline, that stress hormone.
Investigators say by the time first responders found the crash site, the girl's father, Marty Gutzler, mom Kim, sister Piper, and cousin Sierra Wilder were all dead. The family released a statement Saturday saying, "We are devastated by this loss, but are confident that they rest in God's loving arms." The young survivor treated at the hospital, miraculously with just minor injuries.
Done good for a 7-year-old girl, though, I'll tell you that. Extremely good.
Gloria Riviera, ABC News, New York.
Republican Congressman Rodney Davis delivered the GOP response to Vice President Joe Biden's weekly address from the capital city this morning. The U.S. representative says the Republican-controlled Congress will approve jobs bills and help people get back to work. Davis says if Democrats work with his party, Congress has a great opportunity to grow our economy and put the nation on solid footing for a bright future. Davis is a sponsor of one of the jobs bills, which would encourage small businesses to hire more veterans.
So not only are we providing small businesses and our economy with much needed relief, but we're also helping more of our veterans find work. Because despite receiving the best training in the world, post 9/11 veterans are consistently faced with higher unemployment rates than that of other veterans. As more and more of these men and women return home, the Hire More Heroes Act will give them a better chance in a still tough job market.
Davis says he was honored to deliver the first Republican address of the new year from the home and resting place of 16th President Abraham Lincoln. As we begin the new year, law enforcement is already mapping out their agenda for 2015. For some departments, narcotics is at the top of their list. News Channel 20's Evan Peterson is in studio. He spoke with law enforcement officials today. Evan, what are these police dealing with?
Lindsay, meth and heroin are two drugs in central Illinois that are making a return. Law enforcement say they're working hard to address the drug problem, but it's not entirely a new issue. Drugs have always been a problem for central Illinois and for any police department. However, what's unique about the substances this year is who's making them. Law enforcement officials say they are repeat offenders, many of whom have already been arrested for drugs. And when they get out of jail, officials suspect that these criminals will go right back to making drugs and using them.
Overall, we're seeing an increase in drug use and drug addiction. That's what I see here sitting behind this desk and seeing the people that we've got here locked up in jail.
For those who are arrested for prior offenses, the judge can take that in consideration during sentencing and increase the sentencing. So that hopefully we'll be working with the judges as well to ensure that happens.
Sheriff Barr noted that his drug teams have been working with officers in the field to monitor these tips they've been receiving. And while drug production may start in one county, it can quickly spread to other towns. Both of the officers added that meth and heroin use stem from other types of drug use, like alcohol or marijuana, which can quickly escalate to these harder drugs. Lindsay?
Evan, thank you. Lights are back on for Riverton residents after a fallen power line knocked out electricity for some earlier today. The line fell on a resident's driveway near the intersection of Old Route 36 and Oakcrest Road. That's according to Riverton Fire Department Deputy Chief Keith Schenk. The Riverton Fire Department responded to the scene to keep people away until it was fixed. Still ahead on News Channel 20 at 6, the search continues for Air Asia Flight 8501 passengers. The bodies of 2 more passengers were found recovered. What's stalling the search today and how the search team plans to move forward. That's next. And the Fighting Illini men's basketball team looks for their first Big Ten victory. Could they be able to upset the Buckeyes? Find out later in sports.